My name is Jane Borowski, host of Invisible Tears. This podcast will be about my story in my words, talking about my own personal experiences in self-healing. I do not claim to be a therapist, counselor, or a licensed psychologist.
Hello, my name is Amanda Bedard, and I'm the co-host, producer, and editor of Invisible Tears. I'm a Reiki master, certified professional life coach, spiritual coach, wellness coach, and a counseling practitioner. Some of the content you will hear in this podcast may be disturbing to some. Viewer discretion is advised. But it is our hope by putting this information out there that we may help others to heal. We will always be a platform for truth and healing. This is Invisible Tears.
Welcome to Invisible Tears. We're on season 3.
We are.
Crazy.
I know. It's gone by so quickly.
It has. So I'm Jane, and I'm here with my co-host, Amanda. And Jessica has decided to join us, my daughter, Jessica.
Hello.
Hi, Jess.
Hi.
How's it going today?
Good.
And Amanda, how's it going?
It's going great. How are you guys doing?
Good. We're finally rested up from our trip.
I was going to say, you guys had a long trip.
Oh, we did.
Yeah.
We drove out to Arkansas for a true crime fest.
Yep.
With all the Lost Girls. It was pretty amazing. I don't like to fly. I just find it very inconvenient, scary, and I don't like to fly. So we chose to drive.
Yep.
It was me and Jessica and my granddaughter Cheyenne.
Yes.
She is the perfect rider. She's a wonderful traveler.
Yeah. You guys are lucky.
Yeah.
We
You
are
guys
so
are
lucky.
so lucky. Yeah.
But we had her on the road at 2 years old,
Right.
Yeah.
She's
doing
used to it.
20-hour trips. Arkansas was actually like 22 hours from our house. Cheyenne was super excited because we were going to hit states that we've never been to.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. Kind of made it a little mini vacation. So we started going through, let's start with Ohio.
Oh.
If you follow us on Facebook, you might have heard a little bit about this, but I was, of course, watching right along with everybody else with the videos and stuff.
Yeah. Ohio is a state that I don't really care to visit again. For one, it was not welcoming whatsoever. You drive 60 miles down these highways and all you see is big ass fields and farms, spread out all over the place. And then all of a sudden, pop, there's an exit with a couple of gas stations, a couple of motels, and McDonald's. We didn't see any Dunkin' Donuts. Disappointed.
They never even had a welcome center.
Yeah, that's kind of weird to me. But I mean, I haven't actually been too out far west. I don't think I've ever been to Ohio. I mean, I've been to Wisconsin, but I flew there. So it wasn't like I drove through any place, but that's odd to me.
Yeah, because that's one of the things we wanted to do. We wanted to stop after we saw the big sign, Welcome to
Right.
Ohio, stop at the Welcome Center, take some pictures of
Yeah.
Welcome to Ohio.
Right.
And you walk in the building and there's 2 bathrooms and no brochures. Had I not seen Welcome to Ohio and walked in that building, we would have never known that we were in Ohio.
No, we wouldn't. Nope.
Wow. And neither one of you guys had been to Ohio before?
No.
Nope.
No. We mostly traveled the East Coast.
Right.
So going more west, we were all new to.
Yep.
So we decide, all right, we've been on the road for 11 and a half hours. The next little pop-up town we see, we'll stop and get a room and get something to eat. So we were coming up to this one pop-up town, and it had a Cracker Barrel.
Oh, I love Cracker Barrel.
So I was like, oh, let's stop there. There was 3 motel rooms around the Cracker Barrel, which were walking distance to the Cracker Barrel. And I said, perfect, we'll stop there and get a room, go over, eat, go back to the room, relax, and get some rest. How'd that work out, Jess?
Not too well. Nope.
One of the motels was a Motel 6.
Yep.
Now, when Motel 6 and Super 8s were built, they were an economy place to stay.
Yeah.
Fairly cheap. I mean, they weren't fancy, but they were comfortable and they were nice. Not so much on this
No.
one. I walked in, asked if they had any rooms. Yep, he said $159 for the night. okay, this is a Motel 6, isn't it? Yep, it is. I said, you can't do better than that. He's like, well, I'll drop it down to 130. That should have been my first sign.
Yeah.
So we got the keys.
We walk in, we see a cat on the bottom level in the window. That should have been a red flag.
A cat
A cat
Yep.
in the
like
window.
in a room.
In a room. Yep.
Oh, okay.
So
Well, I mean, I guess it could be pet friendly,
Yeah.
which some of them are, but
True.
yeah,
are people standardly living in this one? Or?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
we believe so.
Oh,
But
okay.
we didn't find this out till after.
Oh, okay.
So what was our room door like?
Oh my god. On the outside, you can see where they were prying it open with a crowbar, hammer. Oh, yeah.
You could see damage to the
Yeah, the
door and
edge.
the door casing
Yeah.
via
Going
a
into
tool.
our room.
Yep.
Oh, hell no, guys. Oh, hell no.
So I look at that and I'm like, oh, looks like somebody tried to break in here. We walk in the room. There was like nothing in the room except one bureau and two full-size beds.
No
There was
carpet.
No pictures. There was no carpet. It was like a one-piece linoleum floor that they made look like wood flooring, with knife marks all over the floor. Like somebody literally went in and just took a knife and started cutting the floor. And I'm not talking like one small space.
No.
I'm talking the entire floor. I wish I took pictures and I didn't.
Yeah.
I'm so mad I didn't. So yeah, no microwave, no refrigerator, not a picture on the wall. There was the bureau, a little Ikitiki TV, two full-size beds. You go in the bathroom was completely empty. It did not even have a holder for the toilet paper. The toilet paper was on the back of the toilet.
And it's already been used.
Yeah.
I guess it's appropriate that you guys found this hotel when you were en route to a true crime festival.
No fool.
That's what just popped into my
Yeah.
mind. It's like, okay, did you actually stay in a hotel room that was a potential crime scene at one point?
Right.
With all
Seriously.
Yeah.
right, with all the knife marks and stuff like that. How did you how did you relax enough to actually go to sleep?
Well,
You're like, we didn't.
we're still working on the room here.
Okay.
So you walk in and all you smell is, all we could figure out what we were smelling was a combination of cat piss, dirty socks,
Yep.
and another smell I couldn't even tell you what the hell it was.
Oh God.
Oh, stale smoke.
Yeah.
Like somebody smoked in there all the time. We could not get past the smell.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what? I'm too tired. I need to rest. I want a good night's sleep. Obviously, I'm going to be worried about that flipping door. Didn't feel safe. So I said, let me go down and see if there's another room. So I went back downstairs. I said, is there another room? So he gives me the keys to another room. Well, we went over to Cracker Barrel to eat because we were hungry and we didn't want them to close.
Yeah.
So we went to Cracker Barrel. We ate. We come back. We go to the room that he gave me the new set of keys for. And that one was worse. It was just, we couldn't get past the smell.
The smell.
And it was the same. The door looked like it had been pried open with a pry bar. The floor was all cut up again.
And by the door, it had a little sign for your protection. Make sure you lock your door all the way. Yeah.
Yep. So I went back down the office.
Yeah.
I said, this is just not going to work for us. I don't feel safe here. And I have my daughter and my granddaughter with me.
Yep.
I'm not going to stay here. Can I have my money back? So he proceeds to tell me, well, I went up to your other room and I walked in and I really felt like it had a wonderful ambiance to the room. I looked at him and I said, what planet are you from? Are you kidding me? Ambiance, do you even know what that means?
Right.
Because it had no ambiance whatsoever.
Right.
So surprisingly, he gave me my money back.
Wow. Well, that's good. At least you didn't have to fight for
Yeah.
that. At least he
Right.
wasn't like, nope.
Yeah, no, he gave me my money back.
Well, that's good.
So there was like a red roof, and then on the other side of the red roof was a Hilton. I said, let's skip red roof, go straight to the Hilton. Of course, we went to the Hilton; they were booked. So I said to the lady, I said, what about the red roof? How bad is it there? You know, is it nice? And she's like, no. I said, well, it can't be any worse than Motel 6 that we just left. She said same owners. I said,
Okay.
okay, we're going to pass the red roof. So we drove another 20 miles down the highway and we found a wonderful Hilton, $112 a night.
Nice.
2 queen size beds. The room was wonderful, clean, comfortable.
Yeah.
It felt like a 4.5 star motel. And we had a wonderful night.
Yep,
we slept, we
great.
rested.
Good.
Buyer beware. If you see a Motel 6 or a Super 8 off the highway, before you pay for the room, tell them you want to look at the room first. I'm not even exaggerating,
No.
Amanda.
Oh, no, I
Not
know.
even exaggerating.
It was bad.
It was really bad.
Like, Shy did not even want to sleep in there. She said, I'll sleep in the car, Grammy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, especially with what you described and the door being all messed
yeah.
up, the floor being cut up,
It was
and
horrible.
everything like that. You also have to sit there and think, like, how clean actually is the room in and of
Right.
itself. And if they don't clean those rooms properly, then who knows what you're going to encounter,
Right.
you know?
Yeah. I just couldn't get past the smell. The smell
No.
was just so bad.
Well, if the smell was that bad, then you know that the cleanliness was
Poor.
it was due to the lack of disinfecting and or the lack of cleanliness in the room.
Yeah, exactly. So the next morning we get on the highway and we drive right to Rogers, Arkansas, where the convention was. This convention center was gigantic. We stayed right there. So we go to check in there. She's like, oh, there's been some confusion with your room. I'm like, oh my God, please don't tell me. This is not what
Please
I
don't tell me
wanted
I have
hear.
to go hunt for a Motel 6.
Right. So she said there was some confusion. You had reserved a room with 2 queen size beds. We have to upgrade you, but we're gonna upgrade you, but not charge you extra.
Darn.
She said, we have a corner suite with a king size bed. Will a king size bed be all right with you? But there also is a queen size sofa bed that pulls out. I said, yeah, that works perfect. We were up on the 4th floor. We get in the room and oh my God, did they upgrade us? That room was absolutely gorgeous. I showed you videos.
You did.
Amanda.
You video called me and showed me. I was like, wow, you were literally living in a suite.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
It was so comfortable. The Rogers Center Convention Center was gorgeous. They must have had at least 20 conference rooms. Our conference room for the True Crime Fest, it was 2 rooms. One of the rooms would fit over 1,000 people easy. And then the other room was a little bit smaller, but not much, but that would fit at least 200-300 people easy.
At least, yep.
And that was just our section. It was a really nice place. So we get there on Friday. And Friday night, between 6 and 9, they had a meet and greet. So we took a shower, got ready, went down to the meet and greet.
Now, was the meet and greet for the people that were involved with the conference? So like the presenters and the people that were there for the conference? Or was it like a VIP that people could purchase tickets to meet you guys too?
It was everybody that was going to be part of the conference, guests there. And then people had to buy VIP tickets to go to this.
Cool. I was wondering if it was just for you guys, the people that were a part of the conference and presenting at the conference, or if people had the option to be able to.
No, people paid extra for VIP tickets to go that night to meet everybody that was going to be on the panels.
Very cool.
On Saturday. It was really nice. They had cocktail hour. They had a bar set up. I was invited to go to represent Dark Valley with Jen and Lance from Crawl Space. And they actually got awards that night. They gave them awards that night for Advocates of the Year, which was really sweet
cool.
and well deserved.
So well deserved. Well, they've been advocating and working for so long, so that's fantastic.
have.
that
Yeah.
They got awards.
Yep, it is.
So the next day we woke up. We went back down to the conference. Our panel was at like 9:30.
Yeah.
James Renner was right before us, the author. He wrote the book about Maura Murray's story. So then we were on. And I was so nervous because it was the first time I've ever done any kind of public speaking about my attack whatsoever.
Yeah.
I mean, it's different being behind this microphone compared to being on a stage with a few hundred people in this room.
Live with
You know?
people staring at you.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're on a stage, you have the mics and you have lighting on you and everything.
Oh,
It's a
yeah.
completely different environment.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yep. So I was super nervous about that.
Oh.
But Jen and Lance did an amazing job. They had a PowerPoint and they went through the story of how there was a serial killer in the Connecticut River Valley between New Hampshire and Vermont. Talked a little bit about each of the victims that we all believe that were victims of the Connecticut River Valley killer. And then they were like, so we're going to bring the survivor of the Connecticut River Valley killer. We're going to bring her up on stage. So everybody was really surprised about that. The way they presented everything was just perfect. The timing of everything was just perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So I went up on stage, talked a little bit about my attack.
Mm-hmm.
At the beginning, Lance had asked, has anybody in this room ever heard about the Connecticut River Valley serial killer in New England?
Right.
Nobody had ever heard of it.
In thinking about the location where you were, I'm sure that not a lot was necessarily known about anything happening in New England.
No.
Yep.
In a way, I was kind of surprised, but there were high-profile cases in Arkansas that I never heard of.
Yeah, we
Exactly.
never.
So,
Yep. Unfortunately, the amount of serial killers over the course of the past however many decades, and I won't go off on that separate tangent, but I just have to say, throughout this country, it's horrifying how many cases there have been. So I'm not surprised that people hadn't heard just because of the location that you were in, but it's fantastic that they now know.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. So I told a little bit about my story. Jen was great about it. Like, it was almost strategic. I was talking about my case, and all of a sudden Jen says, well, let's let everybody know that your daughter survived. And the look on people's faces out in the audience, they were crying.
And then I stood up and
So we announced Jessica, and Jessica came up on stage, and everybody was crying.
Yeah.
The looks on people's faces were like, oh my God. They naturally assumed the amount of times I was stabbed that she didn't make it. People went crazy when Jessica came up on stage. And then we very quickly announced, well, because I survived, Jessica survived. And because Jessica survived, I now have a granddaughter. And then Cheyenne came up. So then everybody was, you could see them wiping their eyes or in their pocketbooks trying to find Kleenexes.
Oh.
everybody.
So it was great. I mean, I'm standing there and I still wanted to continue to talk. I was so surprised at how comfortable I felt up there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Jen and Lance made me, it was because of them I felt so comfortable.
Yeah.
They were amazing. They are amazing.
They are.
The presentation they put on, the way they told the story was awesome. With so much compassion and caring. You know, they explained Dark Valley and what they hope to accomplish. We wanted to really talk about the victims of the Connecticut River Valley killer. Now, we only had 40 minutes on stage. That's all that we could have was 40 minutes. We were going over, and of course the girl comes over by me next to the stage, and she's like trying to, touch her wrist. Time's up.
Like, your time's up. Yep.
And I just like turned around. I was like, please, I just want to say a couple of more things. Give us a couple of more minutes. And she's like, yep, okay. And everybody was like clapping. And, I ended it with, we got to stop giving these monsters a voice.
Yeah.
We got to stop giving them a voice and start focusing on giving the victims a voice.
Absolutely.
You did an awesome job.
Thank you. I felt so comfortable up there.
I love it because that's something that we've always done. And I don't think that we've necessarily talked about it like publicly on the podcast, but you and I in conversation, that's something that has always been on your mind is getting into, the public speaking, the motivational speaking, starting to do events and things like that. And I mean, you're so freaking inspirational that I love that you now had this perfect platform to be able to experience that. And you're like, oh yes, I love it.
Yeah.
Because that's fantastic.
Well, we even had, Lance asked anybody if they had any questions. And there was one question asked about how did I cope with knowing that I was the only survivor and did survivor's guilt kick in? And that was my opportunity to talk about invisible tears and about PTSD. And I talked a little bit about that. And afterwards, there was a lot of people that came up to me and they were like, love your story. Love hearing that, you did address your PTSD, and now you're spreading the word about PTSD, and a lot of them really want to hear our podcast. A couple of girls came up to us and they were like, next time you do a presentation like that, you guys want to pass around a box of tissue and give us a little bit of heads up. They were so sweet. So after we got done on stage and we got off, I realized I really want to start public speaking about the cases or the victims and about PTSD and my healing.
Yeah.
I mean, people came up to us and really didn't talk about my attack. More, they talked about my healing and my PTSD. And that they were really, really more interested in that.
Well, I think when you describe your attack too, I think it's amazing to people, and still, even knowing the story of your attack, knowing what happened, it still sometimes even still shocks me. It's so amazing that both of you did survive. But I think the more grabbing piece, like once people get over that shock, like, holy crap, like you went through that and you had enough and you were so determined and you survived. So both of you survived, and that's amazing. Once they get over the shock of your story, it is holy crap, look at what she's doing now. You know what I mean? It
Exactly.
is. It's all about what did you go through mentally afterwards? Because it was such a long road and such a process, and people trying to put themselves into your shoes and being like, holy crap, what would I do? What would I be like? What would my life be like?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody's ever really talked about that.
Yeah.
Again, nobody's really attacked the whole mental health piece of victims.
Yeah, this is true. This is true.
We'll be right back after a quick word from our sponsors. And now back to our episode.
We stayed for all the other people that went up, other panels. And boy, there was one group of girls. They reminded me of you and me. I mean,
Oh my God, they were so funny.
During the pandemic, they just decided to start a podcast.
Sounds
and
familiar.
They were right into true crime. One strictly sits there and talks on the microphone, and the other one talks too, but she's the one that does all the editing, all the behind scenes, all the posting of the podcast. So the other girl that just does the talking, she's like, yeah, I just do this because I don't know that. And the other girl is like, well, I didn't know all this either until I had to learn.
Right. Yep.
And I'm like, oh my God, I'm looking at me and Amanda right there.
Oh, big time.
But they were
United States of Murder.
United States murder.
They were great. They like to find cases that nobody talks about.
I love
It's
that.
like they found an unsolved murder of this girl in their hometown and never even heard of it. Never even heard of the case. So they did that on their presentation. They talked about her unsolved murder. She was a high school student getting ready to go off to college. Yeah, it was pretty powerful. And then LaDonna and Alicia. I'm going to do a forewarn people because I really want to talk about this because this is a level of evil I've never heard of. And what I'm about to talk about is extremely graphic and is extremely evil.
Trigger
So
warning.
This is a level of evil I'm still having a hard time comprehending that's out there.
I can see it in your face.
LaDonna and Alicia are the ones that put on the True Crime Fest
So they're
this weekend.
all the Lost Girls?
They're all the Lost Girls, yes. So Alicia, sweetest girl ever.
She was.
So smart, so articulate, super, super brave. I mean, this girl is amazing. Her story begins with, she was working for this guy that did photographing and filming, and I'm not sure specifically what he was photographing or filming, but she worked for him like an intern.
She was interning, learning photography and videography.
Yeah, pretty much. And he had asked her one day if he wanted to photograph her. He wanted to photograph her arms. Yeah, it was kind of weird, but I guess whatever type of photography he was doing, it wasn't weird to her. So he's like, I need to photograph your arms and your hands. Mm-hmm. And he offered her money. So she's like, okay, yeah. Sit there and have you photograph my arms and my hands. She trusted this man. She had been working with him for quite a while. So He invited her to lunch. They went for lunch, and she believes that he drugged her because at that time she didn't remember anything. But she remembered that he was posing her in different ways. It's like she was conscious but had no control over her body. So she remembered a little bit of he was having her pose and he was taking pictures. She realized that things weren't right. So she ended up not working for him anymore. And then about a year later, all of a sudden, all these memories started coming back to her. And she was like, oh my God, I remember this and I remember that. She remembered wearing a Mickey Mouse watch. He put a Mickey Mouse watch on her. She happened to be watching or listening to LaDonna's podcast. LaDonna had a podcast where she was trying to solve this murder in Arkansas, which she still is trying to, of this girl that went missing. They found her murdered. She always wore this Mickey Mouse watch, and the Mickey Mouse watch was missing. Well, Alicia heard the podcast or saw it on TV or in the news or something. And then all of a sudden, Alicia says, oh my God, I wore a Mickey Mouse watch. So she went over on the computer and punched up Mickey Mouse watch photos. All of a sudden, there's a video of her wearing the Mickey Mouse watch. This guy actually videotaped her. Well, she went and found these forums where her video was all over these forums. He was posing her and he did despicable things to her body while he was filming. And he kept filming this watch, the Mickey Mouse watch. Like he'd zoom in and zoom out. She was extremely devastated when she found out that he had unclothed her, done things to her body. And these videos were all over the internet. So she went to the police, couldn't do anything about it. He did nothing wrong. That's what they told her. He has done nothing wrong. She's like, he videotaped me without my permission. And they saw the videos. I guess in Arkansas, it's not illegal.
It's not illegal in Arkansas to videotape somebody without their consent?
Nope. And you can put it all over the internet.
What about the whole drugging thing?
Can't prove it.
But they can because of the video. What she looks like in the video.
Her eyes were open. She wasn't passed out.
Oh.
He made her look like she was a willing participant.
Oh.
So, long story short, she got a hold of LaDonna and they started doing a lot of research on this guy. And that's when they discovered the evil in these forums. There's a bunch of these forums where these guys go in these forums and they're looking for women, willing participant women that want to be murdered. And after they murder them, they want to do things to their body. And Alicia started finding all these videos of these women being posed and obviously drugged. And these men literally look for people that they want to murder in these forums. So Alicia decided with LaDonna to go undercover and start hitting these forums and start telling these guys, I'm a willing participant. So Alicia went on and talked to this guy. And this guy was like, do you want to be murdered? And Alicia's like, I'm super suicidal. I might be a willing participant. And, he's like, well, how long have you been suicidal? And she's like, about 15 years. And she really had an extensive conversation with this guy over the course of a few days and completely convinced this guy that she was totally a willing participant. Set her up with plane tickets to fly to, it was Arkansas.
I believe so, yeah.
Because she was living down in the Virgin Islands. Set her up to fly to Arkansas, meet at a Borders bookstore. He had it all planned out for her, step by step by step by step on what he wanted to do to her. So she, of course, recorded all this and brought it to the police station.
Yeah.
and said, this guy thinks I'm a willing participant because I'm suicidal, wants to kill me, and so on and so forth. They can't do nothing about it.
I was just going to say the police can't do anything about it, can they?
She's like,
They can't do
But-
anything about it until something happens.
he's the
Right.
one that was planning the whole trip and all the details, and there's nothing that they could do about it. But there are several of these forums where these guys are literally looking for willing participants that want to be murdered.
The sick types of forums that exist out there, I can't even fathom, but also can't even outline the amount of them that actually exist. I mean, from people being auctioned off to people actually paying for people to be killed on camera, people being bought, sold, body parts.
Yeah.
I mean, it all actually exists out there, and
Yeah.
it's horrifying
It
for
really- yeah.
us, but
Such a dark world.
yeah. I really want to go back to this Mickey Mouse watch, though. So this Mickey Mouse watch kind of stemmed from this like cold case, but then he kept on zooming in when he was videotaping
So
her.
they believe that he is the one that killed Missy Witt, which is the one that LaDonna started investigating
Gotcha.
her case
Okay.
and
Yep.
started really looking into her case.
Well, and that would be why he was so obsessed with the Mickey Mouse watch. It's almost like his signature or something.
Yeah.
Didn't he put it on her?
Yeah, he put it on Alicia on her wrist and had her wear it the whole time.
Yeah.
He was doing crazy stuff to her body. So Alicia and LaDonna are on a mission to shut these forums down.
Yeah.
And these guys now know them. These guys call them bullies. I'm like, are you serious? They call them bullies. But LaDonna and Alicia, they go in these forums all the time, and they're trying very hard to try to find some sort of evidence to, shut them down, get these guys arrested, stop this,
Yeah.
They had to hire private security for this conference because they've had their lives threatened, followed. They had security in the audience that we didn't even know they were security guards. Somebody asked Alyssa, how do you keep yourself safe at home? And she's like, a gun.
Mm-hmm.
I own a gun.
Amen, sister.
Yeah.
She's like, I try not to allow them to scare me.
Right.
She's like, but I want to make a difference and shut this stuff down. She's like, it's a level of evil that should not even exist in this world, but it does. And it's all over the internet. There are forums and you can go right on them, and it's just crazy. There's actually a name for it.
Yeah, necrophiliac. So people that do sexual nature things to deceased persons.
Exactly.
Yep.
But these guys go one step further. They want to be involved with the murders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they want willing participants. I guess in my mind, I was like, who the heck would be a willing participant? And how many of them have been out there to be willing participants of these sick bastards? Not only just her story, but her and LaDonna's mission to do what they're trying to do right now is just amazing. Awesome, wonderful advocates, victim advocates.
They're so strong for being
They are.
so open about it.
They are. I mean, we took Cheyenne out of the room.
Yeah.
for that
She
one.
was
yeah.
not there.
We didn't allow her to listen to that. They got pretty detailed about a lot of stuff. Yeah, I know about serial killers, obviously, because I was, attacked by a serial killer. But that's a whole level of evil I didn't even know existed.
Yeah.
But they are All the Lost Girls. Amazing people. Check out their podcast. They talk a lot about it, about what happened to Alicia. Two of the strongest women I've ever met in my life.
Yeah, they are.
Good on them for their mission and what they're doing.
Oh,
Especially
yeah.
since, obviously for Alicia, it's so personal, right?
Oh, so
It
personal.
happened like directly to her and from the person that was possibly responsible for this other death. It's really interesting too. You brought up how much security was at the conference, obviously because of the, threats that they've gotten and that sort of thing. I don't think a lot of people realize in the true crime realm, how important security kind of is and what people actually experience.
Right.
Most of the time that people are involved in this space, it's because something's very personal to them and they're on a mission, and they're on a mission to do good and do better. Whether it's getting word out about, cold cases or cases that aren't covered, or that these horrendous forums exist and shutting it down. Every person's mission is sort of different, but people don't realize you sort of sacrifice safety in order to be that mission oriented. But good on them.
Yeah. We just heard so many stories. I heard so much last weekend at the convention of so many cases of these cases could be solved, but they're not arresting and convicting, and these families aren't finding justice because they always say there's not enough information to convict. There's not enough evidence to convict. I'm so sick of that.
I really want to understand this from a police perspective, to be honest with you. I want to understand exactly what pieces are actually needed to arrest and convict in cases. I want to understand that more, especially since I'm not like a detective or a police officer, but because in some of these cases, it just feels ridiculous to me. It feels like, how was there not enough evidence?
Exactly. What do they need?
Right.
If you are a good prosecutor and you know how to do your job the way you're supposed to know how to do your job, a lot of these cases would be solved and these families would have justice. We met so many people out in Arkansas that were telling us Arkansas is just as bad as New Hampshire.
Yeah.
Their crime solving rate is so low. Their conviction rate is very low because they just keep saying they don't have enough evidence.
Sounds so familiar.
Doesn't it?
How many other states are like this?
Well,
Yeah.
there is another one, Georgia.
Georgia, yes, they were saying
There was a guy
Georgia's just as bad.
from there.
We should actually do a little bit of work and actually look at the different states and see where the rates are essentially.
Yeah, I was baffled by some of the cases. So yeah, the conference was wonderful. It was a good turnout. Met a ton of people. We had so many people come up to us. People were telling us our panel was the best of all the whole day.
Well, with the way that they sort of planned it out with the different surprises. First the surprise of you, Jane, and then literally not mentioning Jessica at all. And when you think about it, it's actually kind of funny. When you were talking about that, people were surprised. They were like, oh, because Jessica survived. And then, they bring her out. Obviously, I knew that Jessica survived even before you even told me before we even started this project, right? Obviously, I knew you were her daughter when we all met, right?
Yeah.
I assumed, and it wasn't until we sat down and recorded episodes 1 and 2 when you told me your story, I assumed that Jessica was born the night of your attack. I assumed you were taken. Because I didn't think that there was any way that you could have biologically survived that and been here. So I just assumed, I was like, well, she was 7 months. They delivered you via C-section or whatever as you were going through surgeries, and you probably lived in Lebanon in the NICU. I just assumed that. I remember when you were telling me the story during episodes 1 and 2, I remember actually calling that out, being like, wait, was she born? Or I said something like that, something to that effect in episodes 1 and 2. So of course, they set it up perfectly.
They did. People were surprised that I still carried her for another 2 months.
I was shocked.
Sunday, the convention center, or the motel, they put on a great breakfast buffet.
Oh, it was
Oh my God, it was awesome. So me and Jessica were sitting there in Cheyenne, and we were sitting there talking, eating our breakfast, and a lady come over, and she was at the conference the night before. She was at the convention, and she's like, your story's amazing. They came from North Carolina. Well, her daughter lives in Arkansas, so they decided to do a day trip, her and her husband, to Arkansas. He was going to stay and play with the grandbaby because they have a 2-year-old grandbaby. And she is into true crime, so she decided she was going to hit the conference. So she was at the conference that night, and so she was like, you're amazing. Your story's amazing. She's always wanted to write a book. So she's writing a book on a case that happened down in North Carolina years ago. And so she's writing her first book. She thought, I'm interested in going to the true crime conference because she's into that. So we talked to her for quite a while, and her book is almost done. And so they were going to eat breakfast, and then she was finally going to go see her grandson. She went back to her table. Jessica gets up. She goes over to the juice bar, and her husband gets up and comes over to me. And he's like, I wasn't here yesterday, but my wife told me how amazing your story is and everything. And all of a sudden, out of the blue, he says, I was the pilot on the plane for the New England Patriots team. I flew them to all their games. I'm like looking at him, like, for one, I was like, why is he telling me this?
Right.
And the second, I was like, wow, that's really freaking cool.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
So I must have gave him that look because he's like, I saw your daughter's sweatshirt over there. She was wearing her Patriots sweatshirt.
Yep.
And he's like, oh, they must be fans and I got to come over and talk.
Yeah.
He flew them for like 7 years
Wow.
to all their games, especially when Gronkowski was playing. You know, he was saying, you know, Gronkowski is just as funny in person and on the plane. And he flew them to their last Super Bowl. And
Cool.
so, yeah, it was really cool. He was so nice.
He was very nice.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, I was going to say the second that you said what he did and like how he like introduced himself, I was like, oh, somebody was wearing a patch, something.
Yeah.
Like we don't even think about it. We wear New England team stuff like all the time.
Well, I came back to the table and Mom told me, and I'm like, no way.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, we met some amazing people. So nice. Everybody was so nice to
Yeah,
us.
they were.
They loved Cheyenne. Cheyenne was so good. We made up the cards with all our info on it. Everybody that came around, she always had a stack of them with her.
Yep.
Always.
Always.
And just passed them around and talked to people. She was a little social butterfly.
Yep.
She was awesome.
Even the VIP night, she handed them out.
Oh, yeah. She was going around to everybody on the VIP night.
It's so cute. That's awesome. That's so cute.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that the first
Yeah.
conference
Yeah.
attended was so successful and
First
so good.
True Crime conference was successful. I'm glad I went. Like I said, I was invited by Crawl Space Media to represent Dark Valley, but I promoted the hell out of Invisible Tears
Of
too.
course.
We had mentioned on stage about my podcast or our podcast, and people definitely wanted info, and they were coming up and asking for info, and we're passing out cards left and right. And so it was really good. Met a lot of amazing people. And what was your perspective, Jess?
Oh, I thought it was a great experience. It was very moving to hear all the stories.
Such evil in this world, man. But we're going to be telling stories that we're going to get the stories out. And hopefully, some of these cases will eventually be solved. So, yeah, podcasting and social media, it does help to convict somebody. It does help getting that information out there to put somebody in jail that deserves to be in jail. You think that little information doesn't help. It does. So that was the conference. And I realized that I want to start doing public speaking, especially about my PTSD and healing and what victims really have to go through after something horrific has happened to them if they survive. And we're hopefully going to be getting ready for CrimeCon down in Orlando, Florida. That's like a 3 or 4 day conference.
Yes, I believe it's a 3-day conference. Yep, it's big. It's down in Orlando, Florida this year. It's in September.
So we submitted our paperwork and hopefully we'll get a panel.
Yeah.
Who knows?
We'll keep you guys posted.
Yep. But I wish, Amanda, you were there.
I wish I was there too, guys. I'm sorry I wasn't there. Just couldn't swing it this time, but we will next time. So we'll all be there.
This was LaDonna's first year of having this conference.
Nice.
So she plans on doing one next year. Hopefully we'll have a panel with just Invisible Tears.
Yeah.
And we'll have a table and...
Yeah, that would be cool.
So I want to thank all the Lost Girls for doing that conference. I know it was a lot of work. They did a phenomenal job. LaDonna and Alicia were wonderful. So we posted a bunch of pictures on Facebook of us at the conference. And so check our Facebook out.
We're going to make a whole bunch of TikToks out of some of those pictures and stuff like that too. So be looking out for that. And if you're not following our TikTok, go follow our TikTok. Some amazing videos are going to start coming out. I'm just saying. It's going to be fun.
Yep. So, well, with that, have a great day.
Thank you all so much for listening to this episode of Invisible Tears. Make sure you subscribe to our podcast to hear all future episodes. Click into our link tree too in the episode description to find and follow us on all our social medias. And it also links to our website, invisible-tears.com, where you can keep current on any events that may be coming up, read more about Jane and the team, and read more about all the Connecticut River Valley unsolved cases.
If you are looking for everyday items, clothes, collectibles, or a gift for that special someone, you can support us further by checking out our retail store, the Frugal Marketplace. We can be found at thefrugalmarketplace.com or search for us on eBay and Poshmark. We hold an online claim sale on Facebook Live every Monday night at 7 p.m. where you can find our latest items for sales or items at a deep discount. The links for our products can be found in our show notes.
If you want to learn more about my wellness practice, Guided Path Wellness, head to guidedpathwellness.org. There you can read more about me and my certifications, more about the Reiki and coaching services I offer both in person and remote, and read all about my products for sale that I make through the practice. Feel free to utilize the Contact Us section on the website with any questions, or utilize that free 15-minute consultation booking button if you have any questions about what might work for you. Evil may exist in this world, but we will not let it win. See you next episode.